Hey, Lalo, what a pleasure it is to be right in the neighborhood with you, just outside of my alma mater, John Marshall High. You yourself are also at a neighboring school, I'd say, Franklin High School out in Highland Park. Shout out to the Panthers, too. But really, I have to thank you first and foremost for taking some time to come and speak with us about this incredible campaign for California as the insurance commissioner. How's it going so far? I mean, what has your day entailed just this Saturday that you have made out to speak with us?
Today, well, thank you for having me. And today, I went out to Venice to do another one of these types of interviews, just telling more people about what the role is. What insurance commissioner is a very slept-on role, I would say, and but it has so much of an impact on our day-to-day lives.
And if you're not at the district, then you're at school. And if you're not at school, then you're running this campaign. I mean, tell me a little bit about what nonetheless motivated you to juggle as much as you're juggling right now for this candidacy.
Yeah, it's not easy being a public high school teacher, but being a high school teacher teaches me a lot about what it's like in our communities for our families, our immigrant families. And for me, I just see it as an extension of the same care that I have for my own family, and the day-to-day struggles that we face, whether it's economic stuff or political stuff. For me, I mean, I was at Franklin the day of the LA fires, and many people don't know this, but in the event of an emergency, like a catastrophe like that, educators are asked to be natural disaster workers. That's like a state mandated policy. And so immediately when the LA fires broke out, we were tasked with taking care of our students, making sure that they got home. And then in the days after that, I was also in Altadena and helping the community there. So I'm in kind of like a continuum of organizing where I care a lot about immigrant rights because of my family. I care a lot about housing justice, and I've organized around both of those. But now I'm also running for this position because I think it's important to give our people an expression of what's possible if we have someone elected.
Well, and it's like you said, the California Insurance Commissioner can be a very obscure position.
Mhm.
So maybe take a moment to tell us a little bit about what this role is and why it is that you decided to run for the position.
Yeah, in the immediate aftermath of the fires in Altadena, two things became very clear. One is that the insurance companies were going to do everything in their power to deny and delay people's claims payments. And that meant financial instability for a lot of people. Many people still haven't returned to their homes. And second, the people that really stepped up and took care of each other was the community itself. And out of that whole movement came this phrase, "Solo el pueblo salva el pueblo." So I was organizing with the job center there, with many organizers from all over California that came to Altadena and Pasadena to help with whether it was delivering medical supplies or getting people connected to services. And because of that first issue, though, the crisis of insurance being really a man-made, manufactured crisis, on top of the climate crisis that caused the fires in the first place, it also became clear to me that we needed to think about how the system is designed to incentivize profit over people's livelihoods. The insurance commissioner, so I'm running for insurance commissioner for California. Insurance commissioner is the head of the Department of Insurance. It's part of the executive of the state, meaning it's right below governor. And the insurance commissioner has many authorities. A primary authority is setting the price of insurance, setting the rates that insurance companies are allowed to charge. And right now, with increasing climate crisis, with an increasing risk of wildfires and natural disasters, insurance companies want to charge people way more than what we can already afford. And people are feeling that.
Right. Right. Now, you mentioned being a first responder during this crisis for Los Angeles. And I have to ask you then what it is that compelled you to show up to Altadena in particular, even though as an educator, you're based in Highland Park, which is Northeast Los Angeles, but not quite Northeast LA County. Tell me a little bit about like the background which led you to make your way there and sign up with the job center to see about rebuilding and recuperating.
So on the one hand, I was born and raised San Gabriel Valley. So, it's part of what I consider to be my home. On the other hand, I also had colleagues that are teachers at Franklin who also lost their homes, and other teachers in the area too, not just at Franklin, who reside in Altadena. And so for me, it was important to show up as a first responder there because capitalism had their first responders. The first people on the scene were the insurance executives, sort of agents, people who were already looking at the situation and figuring out how are we going to make the most profit from this disaster, which is really sickening. But that's how our system works. It incentivizes profit. And so it was really important for me right from the beginning to show up for the community, because I knew that just like with Hurricane Katrina, just like with other hurricanes that we've seen in the South, and specifically affecting Black and Brown communities as climate disasters tend to do, I know that Altadena is also a historically Black community. I knew how things tend to play out under capitalism. People get abandoned, people get left behind unless we intervene, unless there's an organized group of people that's willing to resist. And that is what's happened in Altadena. There's so many different community organizations now. There's probably hundreds, and they're all realizing that they have to step up and fill in the gaps that our government won't do.
So let's say that you're successfully elected for the California Insurance Commissioner's office, and it's 2027, and it's your first day in office. Tell me a little bit about what happens on that first day with Lalo Vargas as our official insurance commissioner for the state.
Yeah, so we would begin by putting working class people at the helm of the Department of Insurance. What that means is right now there's different task forces and branches within the department. A lot of them are staffed by people who are consultants for the insurance companies themselves. I would staff the insurance department with working class people who know what it's like to lose their home in a disaster. People who you can trust will actually take your complaints and your claims and see them through to the end. We don't see that kind of transparency right now. And what that does is it puts political power back in the hands of the working class and away from the insurance companies. I would also put immediate freeze on all new rate increases. The insurance commissioner, he's the one that's right now, the current one, is the one that's setting all of our prices for insurance. The insurance companies can't just raise their rates whenever they want. It's not like the gas station where, something happens in the Middle East and all of a sudden gas prices go up the next day. They have to go through the state. So I would immediately put a freeze on all future rate increases and launch an audit into the 5 largest insurers and their rate hike history and establish a plan for us to quickly roll back rates because, as I said, they're charging way more than what most people can afford, especially in the fire-prone areas.
Now, when we're talking about insurance, just help me wrap my mind around this for a moment. Are we talking about strictly homeowners insurance, or are we talking also about like healthcare insurance? Are we talking about insurance against natural disasters? What exactly do we mean by insurance and the 5 biggest insurance companies and controlling the rates that they've set up to this point, or reining those in rather?
Primarily, the insurance commissioner regulates property and casualty insurance, but there's 24 other types of insurance that is regulated by the department. Almost everything except for healthcare, HMO plans. But the purview of the insurance department oversees automobile, home, life insurance, workers' comp, different types of insurance that are supposed to function as our safety net to survive.
Now, you're also a younger candidate for office. If elected, you might even be the youngest California Insurance Commissioner, at least certainly in my lifetime. What would you say to those who figure that we need someone more experienced, we need someone who's worked at an insurance agency, we need someone who is recommended by the state, and so on and so forth? How would you respond to these kinds of criticisms or this more apprehensive line of questioning?
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up because right now the Republicans in the state legislature introduced a bill to make it so that the insurance commissioner role, to qualify, you need 5 years of experience working as an executive in the insurance companies or in senior government. And that is completely anti-worker. Right now, the Department of Insurance has been captured by the insurance agencies. And the problem that we have is really systemic, but it's because the insurance companies are such a powerful lobby that any insurance commissioner that's part of the two major parties is playing it safe for the sake of their political career. I don't really have that hurting me or or that's not something that I think about because I'm already a public high school teacher. At the same time, I think a lot of people are looking to what happened in New York City with the mayor, with Mayor Mamdani. And he's not that much older than I am, but he's proving that it's young people who are going to have the vision to really push this country forward. And we've seen what our politicians with so-called experience have. We've had Harvard educated, Harvard fellowship politicians who have been in office. And what do we have to show for it? Especially in California, which touts itself as a blue state, our Democratic supermajority has given us the situation that we're currently in.
Now, let's say that because we're in Los Angeles, we know that about half of the people who live in this city and county are renters. What should motivate them to place you into this position for the state, since the renters don't necessarily have insurance against disasters or as homeowners? How would we nonetheless speak to that demographic, since it's going to inform such a huge portion of your electorate?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'm a renter myself. And every time housing is such a big pillar of people's livelihoods. Under this capitalist system, it's not a guarantee. And you can be priced out of where you're renting at any time. Many buildings do not fall under rent control ordinances because of Costa-Hawkins, which is a statewide measure that prevents rent control from applying to any more recent housing. So that's so many people that don't live in rent-controlled housing. And the thing is, even if a renter themselves may not pay for property insurance on the property, the landlord does, the owner does. And what they do is they'll pass the increasing cost of insurance onto you in the form of rent. So you may not be paying, if you're a renter, you may not be paying for insurance directly, but it's baked into your cost of living because it's part of your rent.
So it's an interwoven system which you seek to shake up and challenge in a major way for workers and their families. Yeah. Now, tell us a little bit about how folks can get involved with your campaign, learn more, maybe we'll catch you at a lecture or so. Please shout out what is next for the voters out here.
Well, my campaign is entirely volunteer run. We think that the best way to stay independent from the insurance companies, from the corporations, is not to run with one of the two corporate parties, but to be an independent party. So I'm running with the Peace and Freedom Party. The first thing people can do, they can do this online, is register to vote with the Peace and Freedom Party. Next, you can sign up to volunteer at Vote Socialist California, votesocialistca.com. That's an easy way to get plugged in. We have volunteer events all across Los Angeles, and there's multiple happening every single week between now and the primaries. We know that the only way we're really going to push this campaign forward and have liftoff is if we organize people into a broad movement, and we're going to be doing that no matter what happens in the election results. We're going to continue to build this movement.
For sure. Shout out your @ just as well.
Oh, yeah, my @ is Lalo Vargas, the number 4 CA.
Wow. Lalo, what a pleasure. I'm so excited about this campaign. I can't wait to catch up with you once again on the trail out there.
Yes.
For now, thanks so much again for speaking with us this afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
110%.